Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my new flak build I'm calling Saucer Flak. It is a fadeaway crit hit build and it absolutely destroys. It's insane and has tons of crowd control, tons of boss damage, anything you can really want. But yeah, so as with all my builds, I'm going to start with the skill tree, then move to the gear, then I'm going to go into an in-depth part of the video where I go over all the damage numbers and everything, and I break down the build completely, and then at the end I'm going to be testing this at Athena's. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's get into the skill tree. So starting with the skill tree, we're going to go ahead and go into the green skill tree, and we're going to use fadeaway. So go ahead and put that into fadeaway, and then put 5 into furious attacks. Put 5 into eager to impress. Put 1 into self-repairing systems to move the skill tree. Put 1 into lick the wounds. Put 3 into turn, tail, and run. Put 5 into hidden machine. Put 3 into fast and the furious. And now you have to put 1 more into something to move the skill tree. I go with self-repairing systems, but a lot of the times you can also go with rage and recover, whatever you feel like doing. Oh, excuse me, it's 2 more. Alright, and then you're going to go ahead and do the power inside. As for your augments, you're going to want to use Not My Circus and Unblinking Eye. That's it for the green skill tree. Onto the blue skill tree. You're going to want to use the Persistence Hunter. And that's it for the blue skill tree. Onto the red skill tree. You're going to want to put 5 into Interplanetary Stalker. Put 3 into Leave No Trace. Put 3 into Head Count. Put 5 into Two Fang. Put 3 into Big Game. Put 3 into Most Dangerous Game. And then put 1 into Galactic Shadow. From here you have to move the skill tree by 2 points. I put into Hunter's Eye, but you can also put into whatever you want. Hunter's Eye works for me, but of course Grim Harvest could work as well. And then you're going to want to put your last point into Megavore. As for your pet, you're going to want to use Spider and Scorcher. So that's it for the skill tree. I'll go ahead and go over them one more time so you guys can copy them down. And now we're going to go ahead and move into the gear. So the gear is really easy, and yeah, so we'll just get started. You're going to want to use a bang stick. It doesn't matter what kind of bang stick as long as it's times 18. You're going to want to use the back burner. For the rest of your weapons besides the bang stick isn't really needed, but the rest of your weapons need to have the anointment 50% health, deal 150% bonus radiation damage. That's needed for all your weapons, but yeah. So back burner, whatever element you really want. Elements is not really that big of a deal, but I would recommend either a shock or a corrosive one. But so use the back burner and then use your recursion. The ×2 recursion is better than ×1 recursion, but again, it'll work just fine if you have the ×1. And again, ideally you're going to want corrosive and shock, but any of the elements really work just fine. And then as for your third weapon, you're going to want to use anything that can destroy badasses really fast. I use no pew pew because it can destroy badasses and anything you can really imagine within seconds. Monarch will work extremely good as well. Dictator, anything that can do a lot amount of damage in a short amount of time, but I use the no pew pew. As for your shield, you're going to want to use a front loader. The only thing that you want in this front loader is your action skill and gain 50% bonus damage of your choice. I use corrosive because my recursion and my back burner are both corrosive, and I would recommend having a corrosive and a shock on your grenade, but yeah, so I use corrosive, and then as your grenade, it doesn't really matter what grenade you use as long as it has the 50% bonus ASE damage of your choice. And again, I use shock and corrosive, but you can use whatever you want for depending on what type of enemies you go up against. And now you're going to want to use a stack bot, but before I get into the stack bot and the Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge, there is a part of this build that I'm going to talk about later that goes over if you don't have the DLC, this build will still work for you, and I'll tell you what you need to replace if you don't have the DLC. But use the stack bot if you have the DLC, and again, use the Pearl if you have the DLC. If you don't, again, I'll go over what you need to replace them with. But yeah, so that's it for the gear, and now we're going to go ahead and go into the in-depth part of the video. In this in-depth part of the video, we're going to go ahead and break down every little bit of the build and every little thing and what makes the build tick. If you don't want to see that, then go ahead and skip to the timestamp on screen right now, and that'll take you to where we're going to Athena's. And yeah, so let's get started into the in-depth part of the video. Hey guys, so we're here at the in-depth part of the video, and the first thing I'm going to talk about is what you're going to do if you do not have the DLCs. I'm going to show you how to build this build with a certain gear that you can use when you don't have the DLC. So here we go. What you're going to want to use rather than the stack bot is you're going to want to throw on the bounty hunter. This is the next best thing to the stack bot. The stack bot is what you should use if you have it, but if you don't, bounty hunter. As for your Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge, if you don't have the DLC, go ahead and throw in a Deathless. This will make it to where you're 1 health, and that means that you do not need the front loader anymore. So I would trade, so use the Deathless, doesn't matter what Deathless you use. I use a Cut Purse because it helps you get your enemies back, or get your ammo back, and the reason why you do that is because you have a launcher and a shotgun, but I'll go over that in a minute. But yeah, so if you front loader, if you have a Deathless and you don't really need the front loader anymore, go ahead and use the Transformer. But if you can get away with it, if you have the DLC, it's better to have the front loader and then use the Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge, because the Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge gets you that much more damage. It gives you a lot more bang for your buck compared to the Deathless. So it's better to use the Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge and the Stack Bot if you have it, but if you don't, use the Bounty Hunter, use the Deathless, and then use any shield of your choosing. I like the Transformer, or the Old God, or the Stopgap. But yeah, so that's what you equip if you do not have the DLC. And yeah, so now besides that, we're going to go ahead and go into the skill tree. I'm going to break down the skill tree and why I picked everything that I did. And yeah, so I'm going to start with Fadeaway, and the reason why I did so little in like health regen and stuff like that is because you might be able to tell, you do not have just about any health, like, at all. So you're going to want to try to not put a ton into health regen. I put a little bit into health regen, as you can see right there and right there. But this is mainly for the gun damage, which is extremely good. Turn, tail, and run is really good for the gun damage, but as well as that, this is also pretty good for the health if you do get a little bit low. But for the most part, you don't want any sort of health regen. Fierce attack speaks for itself. Just extra damage, and then Eager to Impress is to get your fadeaway back faster. It doesn't do too much, so I can see you changing it out for something else, maybe for the Overclocked or on my BFFs, but I like Eager to Impress. Lick the Wounds is just no-brainer for me. A lot of people don't like it, and you can change that out if you feel like it, but I go down a lot, and I just like Lick the Wounds, especially since I'm a solo player. Fast and the Furious, again, movement speed and gun damage, it's a no-brainer. And same thing for hidden machines. With this build, you're going to fade away and people can't see you, so you just go ahead and get that 30% damage buff most of the time. And then nothing into regen and cover. Again, you already have low health, you don't want any sort of health regen. And then power inside, again, it speaks for itself, just gives you that little bit of extra damage. Onto the blue skill tree. Again, self-explanatory, Ash's skill duration and gun damage, it's a no-brainer. And now this is where it gets a little bit different. So Interplanetary Stalker, you need that for the damage. That's a no-brainer. You want that on almost every single build. Leave No Trace, with this, you're gonna want Leave No Trace because you don't need it, but you're gonna want it because you're gonna use a backburner and a recursion, and those they take a lot of ammo, and they don't have a ton of ammo in the reserves. So with the Leave No Trace, you're going to get ammo back as you get critical hits, because this is a fadeaway build and you're getting critical hits most of the time, so that does help quite a lot. But if you don't want it, you don't need it, you can put it into Hunter's Eye if you feel like it, but I prefer it. And then head count, again, a no-brainer. Hunter's Eye, just extra damage and a little bit of resistance to beasts. Maybe that might be good for the Guardian takedown at the start. And yeah, Two Fane, just 25% chance of having extra damage, which is extremely good if you're doing a boss with the backburner. Again, or in case I didn't say it, the backburner is your bossing weapon. So if you're doing double the shots and the backburner is your bossing weapon, that's a lot of damage. And I'll show you in a bit. This can one-shot almost every single boss that does not have an immunity phase. But yeah, so big game hunter skill durations and effects. That is like this is a hunter kill skill, and that just gets buffed by big game. And then again, most dangerous game, just extra damage, critical hit damage, that kind of stuff. Same thing for this, extra critical hit damage and this critical hit chance, which is extremely good for if you run out of fadeaway. This is really good with the no pew pew and stuff like that, because you're getting critical hits all the time with a no pew pew. So yeah, you're going to want Megavore, and you don't have to have Megavore. It's more of a preference thing, but I really enjoy Megavore. It really helps if you're not really aiming for the crits. And yeah, so now for your Mayhem modifiers, I'll go for Big Kick Energy for the extra gun damage, Healy Avenger because it's extremely easy to deal with. It doesn't really do much for the enemy, and it doesn't really do much for you, so it's basically just like a throwaway modifier, so that's really good. Chain Gang, I don't really feel like that's too hard of a hard modifier, so that's pretty good. And then Holy Crit, it does decrease your non-critical hit damage, but it increases your critical hit damage by a lot, and that is the point of this build, is getting as many critical hit chains as you can. So that's extremely good with this build. And yeah, so that's really it for the skill tree. And as for the gear, we'll start with the bang stick, I guess. So the bang stick can really be replaced by anything, as long as it has multiple projectiles. Because what you'll end up doing at least, is you'll shoot. So this is for bossing, and that's why I have it above my back burner, so I can start it on the bang stick and then change to the back burner. But what you're going to do is you're going to have the bang stick, you're going to set the sticky, then you're going to go ahead and go into fadeaway. Well, in your fadeaway, you're going to shoot him once, and that's going to activate both your, that's going to proc both your stack bot and your Proveneful Knowledge up to full, and then once you change, those will start exploding, and it will keep your stacks, and then you'll go ahead and shoot them, or you're going to shoot next to the people with your back burner, and that will get rid of your fadeaway, but it'll do like millions and millions of damage, which is extremely good. One thing that I will say is that it has a lot of self damage. You can also kill your pet, which I don't think is good, and I think they should patch that, but it can kill your pet and it can kill you, so you might want to be careful. But that's how you're going to use it for bossing. But the bang stick can be replaced by any shotgun that shoots above 18 pellets, like the ×25 Stagecoach, or just anything, as long as it's above 18 pellets. I use a low level bang stick because I like to do all my damage from the launcher, but to each their own. The launcher you really can't change, but if you are going to change it, I change it for a Scourge, or sorry, Scourge, I forget what it's called, but change it for that, or the Plague Bear. As for the corrosion, it can be changed out. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you feel like changing it out, I'd change it out for a reflux, and I'd say that's about it. The only other thing I could see plausible would be a I mean, that's basically it. You really don't want to use the recursion, but if you don't have the recursion and you don't have a good one, I can see the reflex working as well. And besides that, the no pew pew, again, this can be changed out by the Monarch or the Dictator, or anything that does a lot of damage at once. This is for taking out any sort of badass enemies, and I already went over the replacements for these. So that's really it for the in-depth part of the video. I hope you liked it, and we're going to go ahead and test this out at Athena's. So I'll see you guys there. Alright, so we're here at Athena's, and as I do with all my builds, I like to go ahead and explain how the build works a little bit before I get into the build. So with this build, in case you guys didn't see the in-depth part of the video, the back burner and the bang stick are for bossing. I'll show you guys how that works against Trant. But with the recursion, you're going to want to aim for the head, because when you get the crits and stuff, you're doing like 3-4 times the damage as you would without it. So try to aim for the head as much as you can. If you can't, that's fine, but you're going to do so much more damage and be one-shotting every single enemy as long as you're aiming for the crit spot. And really, besides that, your no pew pew is going to be your what would you call it? Your boss killer, or not your boss killer, sorry, your badass killing enemy, or your badass killing weapon, and your recursion is going to be for normal mobbing. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself so you guys can see this build in all its glory, and then I'll come back when I'm done. I'll see you guys in a bit.
I hear you, beast. They'll never see me coming. Have fun, rocket. So many plans. The bloodshed, the chaos.
Alright, so that was the build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So as you can see, it's a little bit of a slow moving build, but when you do get those groups of enemies together, it does tons and tons of damage. I really recommend this for any sort of takedown because of all the enemies. The recursion really shines there. But yes, I'll go ahead and go to Trant and show you guys how the back burner works, and I'll see you guys there. So we're here at Trant, and yeah, I guess I'll just show you how this works. It's really powerful, so you know, I'll just shut up and show you guys how it works. That was the build. It works extremely good on the Guardian Takedown, and if you guys want to see on the Guardian Takedown, let me know. I'll go ahead and post a video on that. But yeah, if you guys liked, then go ahead and like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. And if you want the build on PS4, go ahead and add me. My name is Slowbrew, but an I instead of an L, and I'll put it on screen right now so you guys can see it. And yeah, so before I go, I want to say that I am going to be making a few new builds as well. I'm trying to pump out as many of my old builds that I postponed from Mayhem 10 originally, and I want to know what you guys want. So not only do I want like cool build ideas, but I also want feedback from you guys, because I often don't know. I can't read you guys' minds, so I often don't know how to make myself better. And I've heard a few things like, you know, better mic quality and stuff like that, and I can't do that right now because I am, you know, I'm not making any money off of this, and I'm only working one job part-time, so you know, I can't really do that. But I want to know what you guys want, you know, like any sort of feedback from you guys, anything at all. It would make my day to help your guys' viewing more enjoyable. But yeah, besides that, subscribe and all that fun stuff, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.